Allow me.
Thank you.
Hello, I go by Coredrift. This is my first video on this channel. I usually like talking about things that matter, things people don't always want to hear. Today, I want to talk about racism, and not just the obvious kind, but the kind that's quieter, the kind that's normalized, the kind that hides behind jokes, comments, and it's not that serious. Racism has gotten to the point where some people believe people of a certain race deserve to get insulted or even hurt physically. Because the truth is, racism didn't disappear. It just got better at hiding. From social media to everyday conversations to stereotypes that people repeat without even thinking. People of color still face discrimination today. And I'm not talking about this from a distance. I'm talking about this because I've lived it myself. I'm around 15 years old, and I've been dealing with racism since I was 8 or 9. That means for almost half of my life, I've been judged, treated differently, or made fun of. Not because of who I am, but because of what I am. And somehow, I'm still considered one of the lucky ones. Because there are people who have gone through worse. People who deal with it every day. People who don't even talk about it anymore. Or just talk about it like it's a joke. For a long time, I was honestly scared to say my race out loud. Think about that. Being afraid just to exist openly. That's what it can feel like. But I don't want to hide anymore. I'm Indian. And before anyone decides to laugh, judge, or throw out the same stereotypes you've heard 100 times, I'm not just a stinky chud because of the color of my skin or where I come from. But before you do, post on the comments, because I know some of you will. Just watch, just listen. Because behind every joke, there's a person. I remember one time, it was during gym, like after a gym block. I was in a middle school. I remember me and my friend were joking around, and I don't really remember what spurred this, but at one point it kind of got too far, to the point where he said I'm good for nothing except scamming. And it had been going on prior, like a ton, so I got fed up with it and told it a teacher at my school. You'd think that something might have happened because of how much, he did it. And, my school always said they take racism seriously. But he just had a 2-minute talk to. Didn't get any sort of punishment. And then afterwards, I received backlash from that friend, saying he couldn't really trust me anymore. At first, it never feels serious. That's how it starts. A joke, a comment, a laugh from someone else, but you tell yourself it's nothing. But then it keeps happening, again, and again, and again, until you start to realize it's not really a joke, because for some reason you have to suffer through it, and not other people. It got really normalized at my school. People would say racist jokes to each other all the time, to the point where even at one point I was starting to say some to my friends, which I'm not really proud of. But that's why I'm talking. That's why I'm making this video. Because racism like this, even if it's little, it shouldn't be normalized. I remember another time, um, it was in a math class. We were having like some free time because we'd done our work. Um, I was sitting with a friend, I was talking to him, and then a classmate behind me, told me, would you rather go to hell or be Indian? I was confused, but then they just said it again, and then laughed it off. I tried calling him out, but nobody would take me seriously. It was just taken as a joke. And another time, during a field trip, um, it was a fun one actually. I really liked it, but at one point on that field trip, um, we were basically just like at this kind of rocky playground, so to say. I can't really describe it much, but the point is, another classmate of mine asked the exact same thing while I was just having fun. I looked behind me, and he said to me once again, well, it wasn't the same person, but I looked behind me, and he said once again, would you rather go to hell or be Indian? I tried calling it out. I tried calling it out once again, but nobody listened. Some people even laughed with him. Afterwards, after a little while, I did tell an adult because it just didn't sit right with me. But, um, nothing really happened to the kid, and I got backlash from, like, maybe 3 people this time. The worst part is, sometimes the people saying these things don't even think they're doing anything wrong, because to them, it's normal. That's what I mean when I say racism is becoming normalized. It's not always loud, it's not always obvious, but it's constant. In my experience, this normalization comes from a few major things. One of the biggest is social media. Platforms where racist jokes turn into trends, where stereotypes get millions of views, where a few clips of people get used to represent entire races. And the more people see it, the more it starts to feel normal. It's not only like Indians at my school that have been getting a ton of hate. There, a lot of other people of color, like especially black people as well, have been, getting slandered. It was back then, like when it was really starting to become a big thing, but still happens now. The funny thing is, in my school and a lot of other schools I'm near, saying the N-word is normalized, even the hard R. I know it probably hurts black people whenever they hear it, but they can't really do much about it, because some people just have, some people can just say it because they decided so. Unfortunately. I don't know why it works like that. Still pisses me off to this day, but yeah, that's why stuff like this needs to be called out. This shouldn't be normal. People are hurt, and yet they're forced to shrug it off. Like it's, like it is, people just say it's a joke. But sometimes I really wonder, why did I have to be born this way? Out of all races, why did I have to be born with this one? The second reason for people to be racist is personal experience. Sometimes someone has a bad interaction with one person or multiple people, and instead of seeing it as one person's actions, they turn it into a belief about an entire group, about an entire race. That bias grows, it spreads, and eventually it becomes something they think is justified. But a few people can never represent millions or even billions. And this doesn't just affect adults, even though it is common. It starts young, really young.
We are going to be running a race. However, your starting position in this race will be decided by the answers to questions that we are going to be asking you.
Sorry, what? It's a joke.
This activity is intended to explore how society favours one race over others.
People often confuse white privilege with being wealthy or being rich, and it isn't about that. What it's about is the absence of having to live with the consequences of racism.
Now, if the question applies to you, you will take a big step forward. If the answer to the question doesn't apply to you, you stay where you are.
I better win, man. Oh.
Okay, make sure you're on the start line. I see some cheaters already.
Yeah, Father.
Feet behind the line.
If English is your parents' first language, take a step forward.
Oh, yeah.
If you have ever been the only person in the room of your race, take a step backwards.
For God's sake!
If you've never been asked where you come from, take a step forward.
If you have never had to be worried about your family being stopped and searched, take a step forward.
I don't get worried about if people ask me to stop and search.
The divide widens, and the inequality of their position becomes clear.
This is just like not fair now.
Farah, none of us are white. None of us are white. It's unfair.
The last question. If your parents have ever warned you about racism, take a step backwards.
If we were about to start a race, is this a fair starting point for us all? No. Mackay, how do you feel standing there in the field of runners?
I kind of feel a bit alone. I can't really see it. I'm literally just by myself, more or less. I'm just a bit frustrated and annoyed that society nowadays really isn't fair. And I just wish everybody could be equal.
Farah!
It's kind of frustrating that, like, me and Sarah are just standing at the back here while the majority of people who may be white are, like, standing right at the front. That just frustrates me a bit, because it's almost as in what society is today. I don't want this to be how it is, but it is, so it just gets a bit frustrating.
Henry, how are you feeling being right at the very front?
It feels quite weird because if you think about it, I think all of us should be at the same point, but sadly the questions, the way that they were put didn't favour some people, which I think is quite unfair.
On your marks, get set, go!
After watching that video, Even kids could recognize something was wrong. Some of them stood at the front, some stood at the back, not because of anything they did, but because of how the world treated them. You could see it in their faces: confusion, discomfort, guilt. Some didn't understand it. Some did. But all of them were affected by it. And that's when it really hits you. Racism isn't something people are born with. It's something they learn. Something they pick up from what they see, hear, and repeat. People in my school love joking about how I use cologne and deodorants. In my locker rooms, whenever I just spray some on me, people act like they're surprised. Because I'm Indian, I'm apparently supposed to be stinky chud. And sometimes whenever we're talking about something that relates to cleanliness, whenever I budge in, people love to joke about it. Because again, I'm Indian. Just because something is common doesn't make it okay. Just because something is a joke doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. And because something doesn't affect you doesn't mean it's real. The state of the social environment has gone to the point where even having basic empathy makes you more advanced than others. I'm not making this video to attack anyone. I'm making this video so that people think before they speak, before they laugh, before they judge. Because at the end of the day, we're all just people, trying to live, trying to belong, trying to be understood. No matter the color of the egg, the insides are still the same. What I wish is that people can use at least some empathy to realize what people feel when they experience racism towards them. Please try to think, if you experienced this, I'm really sorry you have to deal with this. Please call it out whenever someone is being racist to another. That's the only way the world, or even the social presence around you, can change. If you have executed racism, please just think about what the person that you're saying, maybe even the jokes to, are feeling. Just remember the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Whoever you are, you don't have to change the world overnight, but you can change how you treat the person in front of you. And sometimes that's where everything starts. Have a good day. Have a good night, wherever you are. Please try to make the place around you a better place, even in small steps.